Good morning, everybody. Afternoon, and I think for some people in the middle of the night. We're excited to have people from all over the world, and our webinar is once again sold out this week. Last week's webinar, where we introduced and launched Facilities Manager V3, was sold out, and we've done it again, which is amazing for us. So we're pretty excited. And again, welcome to those people who are up in the middle of the night in countries far away, and to those people all over North America and Europe that are watching with us as well. Today, our webinar, or our the Rob and John radio show, will be approximately an hour long. I have with me Rob, our VP of Sales, and also on the side of his cubicle it says the VP of Good Times, which I think is a moniker that he's given to himself, but nonetheless he's a lot of fun. And me, I'm John McInnes, I'm the President of Print Audit. Our agenda is a quick overview by Rob on how the new alerting works and how the new V3 works. And then I'm going to try and stump Rob on how the people who use FM can get the biggest bang out of the new features. Then we'll answer some questions. And the way the questions work on this system, this is GoToMeeting, please type your questions into the questions window on the GoToMeeting, and I'll feed them to Rob. Any questions we don't get to will be answered directly by somebody at Print Audit, because last time we did, we ran over a bit. So our goal is to have the demonstration and the Rob John show last about 20 minutes, a half an hour, and then we'll give as much time, as much as another half an hour to questions. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about Facilities Manager. So Facilities Manager, as many of the people know, is our remote device management tool. We've invested over 2 years onto the improvements you're about to see. On the surface, the improvements will seem like no-brainers and simple. Most of the work done was under the covers to make it that way. We know that no one has anything like this on the planet, and that it will take a long time for competitors to catch up. With that, I'll pass the con over to Rob to show you how the new alerting system works. Thanks, Rob. Let's go.
Thank you, John.
I think I thanked you before you'd said anything.
Well, thank you, John. It's good to be thanked even before I get started. That's the sign of a good presentation. Welcome, everybody, to the presentation regarding FMV3. We're very pleased to be rolling this out to production. We've done so already, and it's been a very, very successful launch of these new capabilities. To begin with, what I'm going to do is take you right into the Facilities Manager interface. And what you see here, of course, is the dashboard showing individual sites and customers and printers in our system. Now, the information associated with these, okay, there we go. My apologies. It's that little play button that I should have been hitting. So in the Facilities Manager interface, of course, we first see our dashboard with a list of customers and a list of companies and ultimately printers inside of those sites. Now, as John mentioned, we've focused this release on our alerting capabilities because, of course, alerting is critical to supplies and service management. So I'm going to dive directly into the alerting page and show you some of the new things that we've got there. To begin with, the alerts are created in profiles. These profiles are then applied to either printers or sites or customers as you see fit. There's no limit to the number of profiles that you can create, and therefore you've got a tremendous amount of flexibility on how you report on individual printers or fleets of printers. When creating a new alert, what you'll see, first of all, is the ability to apply alerts to either individual dealers or to individual devices. And this is very handy for, let's say, cutting across customer lines or applying alerting profiles by default to individual customers and sites. So that's one of the changes that we've made right off the top, which makes it easier to apply alerts to a given set of printers or even future printers that might show up into a given site. Now, when we go down into the conditions that we're looking for, there's a whole host of conditions that you can draw from in order to alert. There's status alerts, which would give you, service requests when the printer goes offline, when the printer is jammed, that sort of thing. Those are very handy for just understanding what's going on in terms of minor issues that might be existing on the printer. We also have toner alerts, of course, basically toner low, toner empty. We've got page volume alerts, so we can tell you when you've reached a certain page volume on an individual printer within a month. This is interesting when you get into, allocations of print and overages and whatnot. These alerts can be very important for understanding when you're essentially paying for more print, if you will, or your customer is. We also have alerts that go into things like toner days remaining, and this is a very nice type of alert to receive because it calculates the number of days of ink left on the cartridge based on current consumption, and that's something that our dealers always appreciate because it really helps them to provide their supplies and service management on a just-in-time basis. Now, alerting occurs on cartridge changes, so we can detect cartridge changes. We can detect things like waste toner, and also one of the other things that we do really well is alert on machine codes. This is new in the Facilities Manager V3 in that you're now able to actually create an alert around a manufacturer's error code. So this would allow you to pinpoint very specific situations that are occurring on the device, and it would give your service techs immediate information regarding that error, and perhaps enough information to, get the parts and the supplies required to fix that before ever, having a conversation with the customer on site or perhaps going out to the site in advance. So this is one of the changes that I think people are going to find very interesting here. We also have alerts associated with stale data. Now, this is a common issue that dealers run into. In many cases, stale data occurs when a printer hasn't reported in for a specified period of time. This could be due to, let's say, a printer being turned off, or it could be due to some type of interruption in the communication with the information collection engine, which is the software on site that actually gathers all the information via the SNMP scans. So our system actually tells you if that information collection engine is down or has failed to report in the environment. And that's very important for troubleshooting issues. Now, our dealers tell us that we've got the most stable information collection engine in the business, and that's something we're very proud of. But obviously, when it comes to billing, dealers want to know where they might not be receiving information just prior to doing their billing run, because that can have a big impact on their monthly charges. So those are a range of different types of alerts that we can create. I'm now going to go into some of the triggering options that we have. We have always had a very, very sophisticated mechanism for filtering the triggering options on alerts. So we don't just tell you when an alert occurs, we can also filter alerts to tell you only when this condition has existed, let's say for a 6-hour period, or perhaps if the condition is occurring, let's say 5 times in a 24-hour period. This would be very handy for things like paper jams and maybe service requests and those kinds of alerts that might not be that serious on the surface, but if they occur with a greater frequency, this might be something that you want to draw your service tech's attention to. And this system allows you to filter alerts so that your service techs aren't receiving that information when it maybe isn't so serious or is less meaningful. They'll only receive that information when it truly does become meaningful, and that's a big part of our smart alerting system. What's new is the addition of the filters on the clearing options. This is a very, very important change to the system because it essentially allows you to tell our system when to clear that alert. And this is relevant for situations where individuals within the customer site might actually be tampering with the device itself, let's say removing a toner cartridge and shaking it. This is a common practice. It's actually recommended by some of the manufacturers for dealing with variations on the consistency of print on those devices as they get to a lower toner level. And so what we've been told by our dealers is that that thwarts the automated supplies alerting by essentially fooling the device into thinking that it has more toner than it does for a short period of time. Well, we've found a way to filter those out by literally letting our program know that if you've seen this condition within the last 24 hours, perhaps, then that would be indicative of a false toner low alert. And at that point, we can filter that out. And the importance of this is not to be underestimated, because what that does is it prevents the dealer from duplicating their shipments to the customer of toner. And obviously, if you're a dealer and you're investing in inventory at the customer's site, that can be a pretty big drag on your profitability of your system. So being able to ship just in time and know only when the toner truly does need changing, and doing so just once, is a very, very important advantage for our dealers. The other piece that's available on the clearing options is a manual clearing option, which essentially requires somebody, a human being, to go in and clear the alert themselves. So that'll only be possible once the machine has judged that the alert could be cleared. But if the alert is set to a manual clearing option, you literally have to have somebody go inside and say, yes, I've cleared this alert. It is no longer an issue. And that gives you full control over the alerting process from start to finish. Now, what's important about these changes? Well, really it goes to the heart of automating your supplies and service management. Through this filtering process, you can essentially remove the vetting process for alerts. And we know a lot of dealers who have in the past had employees who their entire job was simply to vet alerts that are coming in, and that's not a very productive use of their time. They're essentially duplicating what the system should already be giving them. And so this is a huge advantage for companies that are looking to automate the supplies and service management process. I'm going to go to another change that we've made, which is a significant one. Under notification settings, you can see here that we alert either when a condition is detected and occurs, or we can give you a daily digest of that information. So if you're not interested in seeing these alerts as they come up, and there may be certain categories of alerts that aren't as serious and might make more sense to see those on a scheduled basis, that's what you can easily do by choosing the daily option. At this point, you can choose the time that you will receive the past 24 hours of activity on that alert. And that might be, at 7 o'clock in the morning when you first get in your office. You might want to see everything that's occurred from the past day. And that would be, available through the daily option there. If you're choosing to receive those alerts on a one-off basis, then here are some of the options that you can also use to receive those alerts. We've got, of course, email alerts, and that would come in the form of a simple email that includes information regarding the alert itself, which device that it's associated with. There's a lot of information that you can include in that email, so things like the life count and the LCD readout on the device at the time that the alert became active. That's part of the data set that gets delivered to you via email. But one of the new settings that we've made available is the web post of alert information. That web post allows you to actually send an XML file into a web service that you specify right within the alert itself. And this web service, of course, would likely have some type of user access name as well as a password, which you can enter into the alert. And so our system will actually navigate through into the back-end system that's utilizing this information. And once again, what we're attempting to do here is really make the whole supplies and service management process an automated process for companies. And many of them are setting up back-end systems that are capable of automating the service and supplies ticketing, and so this system will write directly into those. We also have the option to send the information via an email attachment. So if you've got a system that's actually parsing, let's say, an Excel file or some kind of comment delimited file, that's also possible here. So these are some of the ways that we've changed notification settings. The most predominant one there, of course, is the web post that allows you to feed supplies and service information directly into your back-end systems. Now, the last piece on the page here that I'm going to go over is some of the advanced settings, and this coincides, or this works together with the smart alerting, which allows you to filter based on the trigger as well as the clearing options on the device. This will actually allow you to set some of the parameters for those devices in terms of when do you define stale data. So, is it going to be 24 hours? Is it going to be 6 hours? Is it going to be, 72 hours? That's up to you. You can define stale data the way you want. You can also define what you regard as toner low and toner high. And this is a fine-tuning that's useful in a variety of different applications. For example, you may find that a particular manufacturer's device is prone to fluctuations based on, like I mentioned earlier, the shaking of toner cartridges and that sort of thing. And so as you discover these issues, you can fine-tune the system by establishing what our system regards as both high, low, and not low toner in the system. So just ways to customize and refine the process a little bit further. These are the profiles, and these profiles, of course, are available for all the devices, and once again, there's no limit to the number of profiles. Before I pass it back over to you, John, I'm going to just make a quick mention of the Active Alerts page. This is also new. At this point, we can give you a view in one location on the website with respect to all of the active alerts in your MIF. We can also filter those to include either managed and unmanaged devices, and this is a definition that we've created in Print Audit to help understand, which printers are yours under contract and which perhaps might be a competitor's devices that you might also want to keep track of as well. That's a big part of this system, is being able to use it in a competitive advantage for your sales staff. But these are the filters on different types of alerts. So if you want to see just those alerts that are associated with toner low and empty, or maybe just those alerts that are associated with days remaining, that's possible here to filter those out. One of the last pages I'll show here is the alert history page, and this really wraps up the ability to use this system in an intelligent way because it keeps an active history of all of the alerts that occur on the devices, both managed and unmanaged, and it shows you the history with respect to the activation of that alert as well as the clearing. Now, this is an important piece because if you're subject to SLAs associated with your Managed Print Services program, this is a way for you to verify that you're meeting your SLAs, and by the same token, this is also a page that you can use to understand whether or not perhaps competitive devices in the environment and your competitors are meeting their SLAs, because you can actually calculate the time it takes for alerts to be cleared within the system and view that information all on one page. John, back over to you. That's a quick look at some of the terrific changes that we've made to alerting.
Thanks, Rob. That was very cool. Okay, so I see that we've already got a couple of questions up here, and excited about that, or a few questions. As I mentioned, we're going to, I'm going to throw some questions at Rob, try and stump him, throw him under the bus a little bit with stuff, which will be fun, and then we'll get to your questions. Now, if you want to ask a question in the GoToMeeting window, or in the GoToMeeting thingy, you can type into the questions window, and I will. I'll read them out to Rob, and he'll attempt to answer them and make sure they're tough ones. Okay. All right. So let's go to the first one I've got here, and I've changed these up a little bit from last week, Rob, just to make it a little bit tougher. But let's see. Sales folks are not typically the audience for this type of technology, but they obviously should be. how can a salesperson use Facilities Manager to win new deals and add revenue in current customers?
Well, absolutely. Isn't that really what it's all about? For our system, that's certainly something that we pay a lot of attention to. So first of all, I'm just going to point out that under the Administration tab, you can create users on our system, as many as you like. There is no barrier to creating new users and giving them granular access to the system. So we allow you to specify what an individual can and cannot see on the system. So not only can you give your salespeople access to this information, but you can also give your customers access to their own information and specify just what elements of that information you want them to see. So that's now giving people like people in your sales department access to the information. What can they now do with it? Well, I'm going to show you a report that is produced in our system called the Competitive Analysis Report, and that's available under the export options, the data export options. You can see we've got a whole host of different exports to TCO calculation tools. We've got back-end ERP systems. We've got CRM, all kinds of management systems in the back end. But this Competitive Analysis Report is one that really allows you to see in a glance what you're leaving on the table at any given customer site. So as you can see, I've got 3 customers in this report here, and on the first customer, I'm managing roughly 86% of their printers, and it's a little lower percentage in terms of the volumes, but I've got almost 90% of the color, so I'm doing pretty well in that environment. But look at Big Customer and FM Demo Site. There I seem to be falling down. In Big Customer, I've got 42% of the printers and 57% of the total volumes, whereas in FM Demo Site, I've only got 23% of the printers and 9% of the total volumes. That's a problem, and that's something that we'd probably want to focus on. And to bring our attention further into focus, we've also given information on the printers and the thresholds that they're printing. So if I go down to the FM Demo Site customer, I can see that the printers that I have, which are managed, I can see which ones are producing the most amount of volume. And here we see that the Kyocera's are doing between 5,000 and 10,000 pages, and there's some that are doing over 10,000 as well, the Sharps and so forth. But look at these unmanaged pages or unmanaged printers, and especially those that are doing the higher volumes. These are printers that I would likely want to target for either replacement or perhaps even some type of print management capability that could migrate those volumes over to my devices, because let's face it, I want to get more out of each and every environment that I'm in as a business owner, and this is a tool that's going to help me do that. Did that answer your question, John?
It did. And I think something else that you mentioned, Rob, is that once you can see where you're underperforming in an account, or where your competitive devices are doing more or less than you, then you can start taking a look at the competitive devices for how they're actually being managed.
Well, yeah, and that's where that alerts history page comes in again, because as soon as I know there's a device out there that I'm not managing, but it's getting a lot of volume, what you might want to do is you might want to add that to an alert profile, and you'd want to target, some of those key alerts, those key performance alerts, if you will, with regards to toner and uptime and critical issues and how quickly those have been solved. And so once I've got that alert set, I can then go and monitor that printer and once again determine whether or not my competitor is meeting their SLAs. And there's nothing better than going into a customer site and saying, hey, how's that printer doing that's being managed by the other guy? Oh, it was down yesterday for 10 hours. Gee, that's too bad. We've got one here that's going to be a lot more reliable. That's the kind of talk track that our dealers use, and it's very effective, and it really is striking while the iron's hot, if you will.
Pretty cool. I'd hate to be a competitor that doesn't have that that particular piece or that tool. Okay, next, we advertise that Facilities Manager eliminates meaningless alerts. We know that some systems send way too many alerts over and over again to service technicians. What is the problem and how did we solve it?
Well, that goes back to the smart alerting capability. So when I go into the profiles, once again, I'm able to create customized profiles that incorporate my knowledge and experience as a service tech, and I'm not just relying on the machine to send me information. I'm also filtering that information in terms of its value and importance. And so it's these triggering options and the clearing options that allow me to do that. So in many cases, and I'll just step back for one moment, we've heard about systems out there that scan, with a frequency, let's say once every hour, and where you'll find an alert, you might actually see an email being delivered every time that system scans. Well, that's not a very good way to manage alerts, because essentially what that does is it teaches service techs to ignore the information that they're receiving via email. Our system has never done that. It's always been smart enough to know whether or not an alert is a new alert and needs to be brought to somebody's attention, or if it's an existing alert which has already been delivered to somebody and just hasn't been cleared yet. So that part we've got covered off on, but it's this next part that allows you to refine how those alerts are triggered and cleared, that really gives you the control and makes those alerts a lot more meaningful. We get dealers telling us all the time that they've now begun to utilize the supplies and service alerting again, after having been trained to essentially ignore it and turn it all off in the past with other systems.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. Which brings us into a problem that we hear of a lot of times with other systems, and with just with the way that that devices are built. Supplies companies and service managers often complain of losing lots of money due to customers removing toner, shaking it, and putting it back, causing device management systems to create orders for multiple toner replacements. So essentially, they're sending toner when it's not needed. How does Facilities Manager eliminate this problem?
Well, that was a big part of what we changed in this latest version, and that is the filters on clearing options. Once again, if you've got individuals going and shaking toner cartridges, what that does is it temporarily fools the device into thinking the toner has been replenished. Okay, and it might drive the percentage up by 5% or 10% or 30%. It really depends on the machine, and that's where this adjustability of what's viewed as low toner and high toner comes in, because you can define those settings on a per device basis. Of course, the individual profiles can be applied on a per device basis and therefore defined that way. So adding this conditional statement here that says clear when the condition has not occurred for, let's say, a 24-hour period, or it might be as long as 36 hours. That's fine. The point is, in the case of a low toner or a toner change, you wouldn't expect a brand new toner cartridge to run out within a 36-hour period. If that's the case, then you might also see a huge number of a huge increase in volume for that 36-hour period, and that's something we can also alert on under our profiles. But the idea here is that if we're seeing an alert within a 36-hour period after we receive the first one or another one, then that's got to be as a result of either a shaken toner cartridge or some other user impact within the environment, and we want to filter that out, and that's what this system does.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks, Rob. So it looks like we've solved the issue of automatic supplies fulfillment. We know that there's some of our dealers and some of the big supplies companies have people, all they do is sort through alerts and low toner alerts to make sure it's true. So I think we've saved people thousands of hours. So next one, ICE is our information collection engine. It's already the most stable data collection software out there, but people still can turn off a computer and disable it. How did we make it easier for our Premier members and dealers to troubleshoot this problem?
Well, that goes to, once again, the stale data alerts. We let you report on stale data when it occurs either on the device or at the site as a whole, okay? And typically our dealers will use both of these so that they'll know within a specified period of time, because once again, we can actually set the hours that would be counted before the device actually becomes stale or the site becomes stale, and at that point receive an alert on that. But another nice addition to the web portal is the stale data page. This is the page that lets you actually see all of the printers and sites that are stale in the system. And so, right before you're set to do your billing run and export all your meters to your back-end ERP system, what you'd want to do is you'd want to take a look at this page here and see which sites are having issues. And you can see that, ABC Company right now has a lot of stale printers. And so I'm going to want to drill down into that before I do my billing run and essentially solve that problem. And with the case of the ICE, it's typically a computer that's been turned off or a change to the network environment that's blocking communication with the outside world or something of that nature. So those are things that our dealers can troubleshoot in an instant and in a timely way right before they run their billing.
Awesome, thanks, Rob. We're getting a ton of questions in, so I want to we'll move quickly on my next one. And so far, you've answered them all, which means that I haven't stumped you yet. But maybe this next one. Again, for you guys that are looking to ask questions, you just add them into the questions window on the GoToWebinar thingy. All right.
That's called the console, John. I think.
Thank you, Rob. I believe
but Thingy works too.
It's the technical term. I saw it right on it's on their website. All right. Can you show me how dealers with help desk systems, NOC network operation centers, or any other supplies management systems can add FM data directly to those systems?
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, excuse me.
You have not understood the Koreshlin.
Yes, yeah.
I don't have a Koreshlin for you.
Trophy models, I'm afraid. So if I understand the question, they're looking for what mechanisms can be used to send data into their back-end systems. Is that correct? Or is it to, let's say, just a visual help desk?
No, it's to put stuff into their own systems, put information into their own systems.
Gotcha. Okay. So once again, that goes into the reporting and alerting capabilities. Since we've added the ability to send alerts into a web service via XML, that's the mechanism for automating the delivery of these systems to back-end systems that use XML and use web services in order to retrieve information. So when I go into the alert profile and I create an alert, that would be listed under the notification settings, and I would simply enter the web post as the location for that notification, and once again add the URL and things like the username and passcode in order to do so. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so what I see is that we can have fully fleshed out alerts going directly into systems instead of those systems trying to do all the work to try and figure out what the alerts stand for.
Correct, and maybe just an add-on to that is the data exports page, which allows you to, of course, export all kinds of meter and counter information into the same systems, once again, through some type of XML, whether that's associated with eAutomate or any of the other ERP systems in the marketplace. We've got those web service capabilities built right into the Facilities Manager.
Awesome. Okay, let's get to some of these questions. I tried to stump you, but didn't have much luck. You were pretty good this week. You were ready for me. So, but I think there's a lot of these questions are great. Now, what I'm going to tell you guys again is that we may not get to all the questions. If we don't get to them, we see who you are on the site, and which isn't a stalking type thing, but you told us who you are. So we will get back to you directly with answers. So let's start at the top here. Barry asked, can we get a recording of this presentation for a later review? Yeah, we are recording it at the beginning. One of the things Rob always asks us to do is remind him to record it because we've had a few that we forget. We have recorded this.
Yeah. I just checked the thingy, and can confirm that we are recording.
Thanks. Well, the thing he says yes. The computer says yes. All right. So let's go to the next one. Cartridge change detected. Is this a real exchange for another toner, or could be just a toner shake? I think, Jamie, that was for Jamie. I'm pretty sure we answered that when Rob was going through, and we'd be happy to show that to you again. But we've certainly improved our alerts to try to stop our dealers from sending extra toner out, dealers and Premier members, just to try and stop them from sending out extra toner when it's not needed. So hopefully you saw that, but we'd be happy to take you through directly. On our alerts, we do not have the option for toner changed alerts, Shauna Ross. So again, I think that's the same thing that Jane. These are all coming in early. I'm doing it chronologically from earliest, so hopefully we got to your answer as well. Maybe, Rob, since we had it twice, you want to just quickly do the toner change again?
Sure. Well, you know what? I've just been kind of showing the screen as you've been talking, John, and I went into the alert profile, and once again, cartridge change detected is one of the options that we can alert on. And so when you create that cartridge change detected, that works in conjunction with some of these definitions under the advanced settings. So the toner has to go below a certain point and then back above another certain point in order to be validated as a cartridge change detected. And so not only do we give the option to create that alert, but we can actually refine it based on, you know, the manufacturer, the device, and how they behave in terms of their ink volumes, toner volumes and percentages and so forth.
Cool, thanks, Rob. We've got another one. Can we grant customers access to a subset of the FM site so they can manage their devices on their own? I like it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Get your customers working for you.
Well, that's the idea. This is a self-service system, and to the extent that you're able to grant your customers access to the site and to the extent that they're able to use it, that just gives you added stickiness in their environment. So sure, providing them with help desk tools that they can access via their own user login, and then have that user login grant them access to specific information on specific companies. So if I go into the advanced settings, for example, I can see that this profile gives me manage rights over Rob's dealer. I can also add additional rights to that, so I might want to specify a particular company and a particular site, and then I can also either grant or deny access to specific elements of the data set that we're presenting in the web portal. So do we want to let them have manage rights over smart alerts and related information? If not, uncheck the box. Do we want to let them see actual cost information? If not, uncheck the box. So, typically in the case of a help desk, we probably want to grant them access over smart alerts. We probably want to grant them access over supplies and related information, device history. Would they need page counts and that sort of thing? Probably. Maybe in this case, the only thing we want to limit them from is actually seeing how we cost those pages on our end. Because actual cost profiles really are used to indicate how much the dealer is spending on each page in that environment versus what the customer is spending, which is the assigned cost profile. Kind of touched on a couple of things there, but I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. I think he was looking for a yes or no answer.
I'm in sales. I'm sorry, that's not possible.
All right, so Barry, the answer is yes. Okay, we have another one here from Paul. Can we get a CSV file for a toner alert and export it so we can import it into our ERP system? So I can start on this one a little bit, Rob, and you can show a bit. As we showed on the system, there's lots of ways to get your data into ERP systems, supplies management company systems. We've made our system infinitely available to other systems to take that data. So the answer is yes. We work with ERP systems around the world, and now some of those ERP systems are going to have to improve their game a little bit to be able to take fully fleshed out alerts and things like that. But absolutely CSV, web services, XML, yeah, all sorts of things. So we're pretty proud of this piece of our system.
And those, and just as a side note, those we not only have templated CSV exports, but we also have customizable CSV exports. So if you've got some proprietary back-end system that you're using, give us a call and let's work on a template that'll get that information into your system.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. All right. Is it required to visit all PBFM sites to upgrade this version?
I'll answer that question, John.
I hope you do.
In fact, we went live with this system, and that was just about a week ago now. Actually, it was a week ago.
Yeah.
And all of the systems that are in production and online with us have been updated already. There is no need to update the system. It's cloud-based, so the web portal, of course, updates itself. And on the back end, our ICE software, which is the resident software in each of the customer sites, also has the ability to update itself. So that's one of the big advantages for the FM system, the Print Audit FM system, is that there is no need to go out and update your customer sites. There is no man-hours or work effort associated with that. Our system does it automatically.
So cool. All right. Do you have any good way to identify toner swapping within the alerting system? Okay, so that's Brandon. I think we've showed that one. Everybody, and we know this from all of our, whenever we do a presentation, we spend a heck of a lot of time on toner on this one. And so we think we've nailed it. There's a little bit more work we can do in the future, but test it out and let us know.
John, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on this. When we were
Sure.
in beta testing on this system, one of our premier dealers was receiving an average of about 7,000 alerts per month, okay, on toner. So this is 7,000 alerts that they actually had to vet, and this was entirely due to the occurrence of people shaking the toner in the site. In fact, they found one device that had a toner cartridge shaken 46 times within a span of a few days. So this dealer, after setting the clearing options correctly for their alerts, now has had that total communication reduced to about 1,100 alerts per month, which are now legitimate alerts and stuff that they need to act on, but obviously a far cry from the over 7,000 that they were previously receiving.
All right, thanks, Rob. We're getting into some tougher questions here that I don't know the answer to, but Barry's. So one of them is, how deep can you nest sites? And if we don't understand that, Barry, you can either write it or you've got a few here that we might just get back to you directly. But do you understand what he asked there, Rob?
I could make a stab at it and essentially talk about the hierarchy, but I'm not sure I understand the question either. I'll just give you a quick definition of what a site is, and maybe that'll help you, Barry. In our system, a site is the installation of ICE. Okay, the ICE software is set to scan a particular subnet or range of IP addresses. So you can see here I'm actually going into the programming for the ICE, and this is another big advantage on our system is you can program the way the ICE software runs in the customer's environment from outside of that environment. And that doesn't require any bidirectional communication. That's just a very clever way of making it work. Our developers have found a way to, without using bidirectional communication, program the ICE within the environment. But I'm just going to show you what we've got here in terms of customizability. So I can add scan ranges to this scanning, to the ICE program, and it will then go out and scan that subnet. This then becomes a site in our interface. So whatever you're scanning is defined as a site from that one ICE installation. You can have multiple ICE installations within a given network environment. You can tell ICE to scan one floor of printers, or you can tell it to scan across multiple geographical locations. It's really no limit to how you define the site. The key is, of course, just telling ICE which printers to scan at that point, and they can do so across wide area networks and the like. Hope that answers the question, Barry. If not, please just give us a call and we'll try to refine that.
Yeah, Barry, we'll probably get in touch with you with some of these questions. Rob, somebody else asked on that same screen that you've got there, can you please pronounce the license key?
Yeah, no.
All right. All right, next.
There's my only yes or no answer, John. You've got it.
All right. So from Barry, any plans to integrate two-way integration with PSA systems such as AutoTask or ConnectWise? So Barry, again, we'll go through this, but because of our new XML integration, we actually can now integrate with ConnectWise and AutoTask and all of those systems. You ask about it with accounting systems such as QuickBooks or Simply Accounting. You know, we haven't worked with all the systems that you've mentioned, but we can't wait to try it. So if you're willing to let us give it a try, we're pretty sure we've nailed it to be able to communicate with all of those systems. All right. So Jamie's asked us to do false detection of new cartridges and the false not toner low caused by the shaking. Thanks. So Jamie, we're going to take you through that ourselves. Oh, he's already said sweet. Thanks, guys. So I think we helped. All right. Before we even got to it, that's kind of cool. So life counters in the smart alerts are now included, says Ask Jordy.
Correct. Yeah. So information that's available in the alert itself is shown, like if you indicate the email notification, you then have a list of different elements that you can include in that email notification, and life count is certainly one of them. You also have custom field values that you can define yourself and use for, let's say, your IDs, your printer IDs or location IDs. I mean, there's all kinds of customizability to this, and that stems from the individual printer pages. I'll just quickly look at that so you can see how some of those things are defined. If I go into the individual printer page for the Officio 3235C, I can actually define things like the custom value, if that's like maybe a location indicator. I can also add asset numbers. I can do things like add or modify serial numbers within the record in FM. So there's a lot of customizability there.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. Okay. So the next one is for machines that do not report toner levels, machines just showing a green check mark, will the toner percentage alerts capture the actual percentage?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there certainly are different behaviors that we've recognized on printers. I'm just going to show you an example of that here. So you can see here that the Lexmark device is actually reporting percentages above 20%, but if they go below percentage, all of a sudden they're no longer reporting percentages. And we can solve issues such as that and have those captured under percentage toner alerts by literally defining what is low toner percentage in our system. If you recall, there was the ability to actually define what low toner means in our system. So in this case, we're saying, hey, if the printer knows that it's low toner, we're going to we're defining that as 20% at this point. And by the way, many of these are standards or defaults that we know exist in the marketplace already. And so by default, we define toner low as 20%, but you can change this based on your needs with respect to the individual manufacturer's product.
Cool, thanks, Rob. And Shauna wrote, she says, not a question, but one of my favorite features is the Print Audit will automatically schedule meter imports into eAutomate. We like that too. That's one of the things that,
thanks, Shauna.
Yeah, Shauna, we appreciate that. We bring over a ton of, we moved over about 100 new dealers last year from other systems onto ours, and that, as you point out, is one of the big things. Okay. So the system will advise the users on new releases automatically. If yes, the user will receive a guide with the new features. This is from Marco. I can answer this one. We exhaustively try to reach everybody, and we put notices up on the FM login portal whenever we have changes. So there you go. Rob's got one. We've got an update happening today, which is some of the issues that people have found with the new alerting around the world. So we do exhaustively try to tell everybody. I don't know if we actually send out to the list of users in FM. Do you know, Rob?
Yes, so we track FM users in our system and target our notifications to them via email, typically.
Okay, cool. So I guess, Marco, the answer is yes. That was me being too long. All right. Do you have an overview FAQ sheet for best practices on alert schemes and setups? I don't know if we've got a specific best practices, Ken, but we certainly have a lot of experience, and so happy to have somebody from Print Audit get in touch with you and help with that. And actually, it sounds like a good idea, so we'll maybe from what we work on with you, maybe we'll come up with that. But there's also our website has a ton of frequently asked questions and best practices at printaudit.com on different things, and if you don't find it there, let's build it with you. At what level of tracking is the alerting available? Oh, this is a plant from one of our own staff. Thinks he's pretty funny, doesn't he?
Okay, so well, that kind of brings us into the question of how you're working with us. If you're under subscription, then levels are kind of an irrelevant conversation. So the levels don't really matter if you're on our subscription programs. If you're on our a la carte program, which is essentially paying for the service as you go on a printer-by-printer basis, we have 3 levels. They are silver, gold, and platinum. And in order to get supplies and service alerts, you need to be at the gold level. Obviously, platinum also includes the ability to alert on supplies and service, but that also incorporates TCO calculations and costing of pages. So gold is the answer to get alerts on any of your supplies and service management. Okay, so John has gone offline. John is gone. Sorry to hear that, John.
I'm back. I actually, instead of mute, I disconnected myself. But you should have seen how fast I dialed. Anyway. Okay, thanks, Rob. So subscription is our Premier membership or Accelerator membership. Let's see, where did I get to? Oh, at what level, no, we just did that one. Can you add custom fields and change their name on the setup screen? So Ken, I think Rob showed that, but absolutely we can on a printer-by-printer basis. Or printer
so I'll just
model
go through some of these.
Model basis.
Yeah. So absolutely. So you can see here that we've got capture of the Officio 3235C, and this information here that you see in location and serial number is being drawn automatically from this printer. Obviously, MAC address and that sort of thing is all being captured automatically. This printer doesn't seem to have an asset number already designated for it, but that is a MIB field that could be populated. We also have additional custom fields.
Or it can come from eAutomator systems like that.
That's right, yeah. So any of these fields can actually be overwritten by other systems if you want them to be. That's why we give you this page here, is to sort of add information, including comments. Maybe you want to write a little story about this printer.
All right.
Hope that answers the question.
The day I shook the toner and it went all over me. Okay, so what about when toner shows as unknown? I'm not sure what about. It's probably how we show it and whether they can get alerts on it.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with the idea of the unknown quantity, because typically printers will report. In fact, all printers are essentially required to report in their MIB, if they have a MIB, a low or toner empty status. So if a printer is showing unknown, that may be an issue with actually picking up the MIB specs for that printer. And the way we solve that problem is to simply go directly to the manufacturers and ask them how to do it. We've got NDAs with every manufacturer, including many of the smaller ones in the business, and so they simply tell us where to find the information in their private MIB. And that's a unique advantage that we have because it gives us access to some of the more discrete information that's available in the MIB. Anybody can pull a life count or perhaps a serial number, but when you get into some of the finer counters and toner levels and extended counters and that sort of thing, that's where most of that information is in the manufacturer's private MIB, and that's what we gain access through our relationships.
Cool, thanks, Rob. I think another answer to that, and you might want to quickly go through, is how we do toner days remaining, how you can set up your own, let's say on a local printer or something like that that's not showing it.
Oh yeah, okay. So if we wanted to set alerts on something that's actually not showing toner at all, let's say, we could create a profile that would help to guide us to maybe awareness of that printer based on page volumes. Okay, so if we knew that that ink cartridge is going to last us for about 1,000 pages of color and X amount of pages of monoprint, we could set up an alert to actually count the pages for us and bring that printer to our attention once they've reached a certain account, if you will. Does that answer the question, John?
Somewhat. I would have the piece that I would have shown is how we determine toner days.
Oh yes, okay. Well, that's another thing. Now, toner days remaining.
Yeah.
Sorry, that does require, in order to predict toner days remaining, that does require a percentage toner level. So, so when you're selecting the toner days remaining, we're assuming that you have access to toner percentage information. This just helps to predict how long that toner will last. So imagine, one printer in an environment with 20% ink left might last a week, whereas in another environment, maybe a less busy environment, 20% remaining might last a month. Who knows? You don't want to be delivering toner within a week if you don't need it in, if you're only going to need it in a month's time, because that's just a waste, and that's not exactly just-in-time delivery at that point.
Okay, Rob, we've got quite a few questions left here, so from some people, and what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to you directly, all of you folks whose questions haven't gotten answered, because we're about 4 minutes here, and I wanted to give the people that are on today a quick 2-minute overview of where facilities manager sits in the print audit world, and so that you can we always get lots of questions about that. So go, Rob.
Sure. Well, as you can see from the screen now, Print Audit is the print management company because we offer an entire toolkit associated with managing both printers and printing in customer environments, and those tools include embedded tracking capabilities on many of the OEMs in the marketplace. We've also got analysis, rules-based printing, cost recovery capabilities from the Print Audit 6 program. We've got Print Audit Secure, which is our secure and follow me print capability, as well as some of the best assessment tools in the business. And as most of you know, every good MPS engagement starts with an assessment, or at least it should. And we can build a pretty strong case for grabbing both the printer and the user information in the environment, because quite frankly, it's the user information that your customers are often most interested in, even though they start out asking about the printer information. That stuff gets pretty dry pretty quickly, so adding the user element to it not only brings another element of savings to the customer, but also brings another element of interest and consultation, I guess. So this is the print management toolkit as a whole. The way we offer this is through subscription. So we've got a program called Premier, which helps our dealers to win new customers, keep current customers, and build recurring revenue for their organization. And that Premier program includes all of the tools that you see in front of you here.
Thanks, Rob. That was very cool, and that's all for today, folks. We're about 2 minutes before the end of the hour, and we wanted to keep it to an hour. For our lucky Premier members and current dealers, we launched Facilities Manager version 3 on the 5th of February, so you've already got it. For those that are dying to try the system, you can. Go to printaudit.com, click on Free Trials off the top menu bar, and find Facilities Manager and fill out the form, and we will get back to you and get you all set up so you can try it. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the Rob and John Morning Show, or some people, it's the middle of the night show. But we've had a lot of fun today. We hope you guys have too, and we'll send you notification on where to get the recording of this, and for those folks whose questions we didn't answer, somebody will get back to you very soon. Have a great day, folks.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck in your sales.